What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Empty Out the Clip. I'm your host, Cams. I'm co-host of the Back of the 135, and with me tonight, I got one of the usos from our other podcast, the COUNTER RUCK, our rugby union podcast. Stacey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Yeah, mate, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me on Empty Out the Clip again. I always love being part of that podcast, so yeah, ready to go.
And I know why, because Empty Out the Clip, this is a platform that we get to come out here and just say what we want to say. There's no rules, no boundaries. It's different to our other podcasts. This is our chance to just let loose on our ideas without worrying about the outside world,
Yeah. I should have had a couple of beers before I jumped on, then I would really empty out the clip. Oh, you can empty it out for both of us.
Yeah, I'm having should this be a sponsor? Panhead APA.
Nice.
Sponsor for tonight.
Fancy stuff.
Yeah. So I invited you on this podcast, bro, to talk about two topics I have had in mind today.
Yep.
Obviously, the big one in rugby union circles, the Moana Pacifica team that was announced last week. And I know you're a big number one New Zealand Warriors fan in the NRL. So
Yep.
I wanted you to come in and just tell me what went wrong in the weekend with the Warriors up against the Melbourne Storm. But yeah, man. So I think we'll start with that topic, the NRL. So in the weekend, after a very sad game, the Blues against the Crusaders, just want to erase that out of my mind right now.
For sure.
But unlike you, I had a good opportunity to watch my team in the NRL, the Manly Seagulls, just win by, 20 points?
No, that's good, eh? It's always hard, like if you watch both rugby and league, if both your teams lose, it's always hard for me with the Warriors. They lost basically back-to-back. Blues lost, and then the Warriors came on straight after that, and bloody lost again, and I was like, fucking useless. Both those teams, man, disappointing, but yeah, at least you got a win, so that's good for you. Seagulls.
It was good for me. I was suffering this whole season following my Blues team just fall apart after their bye. Because, it all happened after their bye. They haven't won a game since. So it was good to turn the channel and watch my Seagulls grab a win. It's funny because that was our second game we won all season. And only because Tommy Turbo is back from injury. And that's been the narrative for my Manly Seagulls, that one man can come from injury, come into the team and turn things around just like that. I mean, shit, that's unheard of, right? How can one man come in and change the whole landscape of the team?
I was shocked. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how important he is.
I hope RTS does that for the Blues next year. I really hope that's the case.
I hope so too. I don't know if it'll be a big ask for him to come from basically been playing league for the last sort of 7-8 years. So it's going to be a big ask for him. But I hope they're not looking at him like the savior, because that's going to be too much for a guy to change codes and then try to change the fortunes of the team at the same time. But yeah, it's going to be a good move. I think the Blues, they need something. And we talked about it before, the forwards were doing a good job in that game, and basically throughout the whole season. Properly, the loose forwards, Hoskins has been good. The locks have been doing well. Some of the backs need to step up. They've made some poor decisions and all the rest of it. So maybe RTS can add something on that front, and we'll see how that goes. But it's another season for the Blues, and next year will be better. Fucking at the end of the season, saying those, we'll be back next year. Bloody talking about it already. So it's a frustrating team to support, and Warriors ain't much better either. So yeah, tough times ahead.
No, I hope RTS comes in and changes things around, just like Tommy Turbo did with the Manly Seagulls. But anyway, we'll talk about the New Zealand Warriors and their game in the weekend with the Melbourne Storm, which geared up to be one of the classic games for Anzac Day. I wouldn't say it was a disappointing loss for the Warriors. I wouldn't say that, because they got to try out their new signing, Reece Lightning.
Reece Lightning, yeah, we're going with the Reece Lightning for sure. Yep.
Reece Walsh. From first time we heard of this guy was from Lappy Mariner when he jumped on the Back of the 135 podcast and sort of told us about him. So it was interesting that he got signed to the Warriors, and because of the injuries, huh? Is that why they put him on? They put him on that
Yeah,
game?
yeah. So Peter Hiku, he's out. So they had some real massive depth in the outside backs. Ewan Aiken, who's the other centre, he's out. David Fusitua was out. So that's Adam Pompey as well. So that's four of the sort of front line outside backs are out, and then Hayes Perham, who was the other outside back they had there, he got an early release to go and play for the Eels. So it was almost like Reece Walsh, even though he just arrived, they had run out of guys to pick. So he got his opportunity, and you have to give him some credit. He looked. He's 18, so he's still a little bit raw, but he looked like he could provide some spark in attack. I'll say that. So I was pretty happy with that for a debut game. He had all the confidence in the world. He was happy to throw those long passes on the first, kicking on the first. He was just going for it. So that youthful exuberance was something positive that I saw from Reece Walsh, Reece Lightning, as we call him.
Yep. How did you feel when you saw the lineup before the game? Like you would have saw that Tuivas Schick was on the wing. How did you feel when you saw that?
I was a bit unsure about it. Even now, after watching the game, I'm not sure if that was the right move. I understand why they wanted to get Reece Walsh in. He's basically the future fullback of the club, but I don't know if Roger on the wing was the best move. I think he got exposed a little bit on defense. He hasn't played there since 2014, I heard, after the game. But he's such a critical part. He's probably the best player they got still. So I would have kept him at fullback or kept him at 6 and try and keep him in the spine, try and keep him involved. So I know they named a team just earlier today for this week's game, and Rogers back to fullback, and Reece Walsh is in at standoff this time, 5'8". So I think they're looking at ways to get them both involved. So I didn't like that move on the wing this week, and I think they've got it right this week with Roger at the back.
Yep. They had a number of injuries as well, eh? Like
Yeah.
Toru Harris was out. Who's the other guy? Fusitor was out as well.
Yeah. Chanel Harris Tavita, who's one of their regular halves, he's out. So they've got some quite few injuries to their some crucial guys. But Reece Walsh, he looks the good. So I think he's going to be good. But mate, that Storm game, oh mate, that was such a disappointing game. I think I'm just pulling up the scores now. So 42-20, that's quite a comfortable win. And on Anzac Day, such a special occasion for New Zealanders as well. I would hope for a better performance from the Warriors, but that's probably, if I'm being honest, and I'm really biased, that's probably where the Warriors are realistically at. And I just don't think that they're sort of like the NRL seems to be split into two competitions almost. So you've got like a top sort of 4 or 5 teams, and then there's all the rest are sort of competing in almost a different competition. And the Storm are in that top echelon of teams. So the Warriors, they looked up against it, and I think Nathan Brown, the coach, has mentioned that they're a little bit behind, the Roosters and the Storm and the Panthers and that. So, it's probably a fair result, but just because I'm biased, I wanted more. I wanted the Warriors to win.
Yeah, I think you're right about the difference in teams, because I had a comment on social media recently talking about the score lines. Some of the score lines, there's a big margins in between the score lines and between the teams. So I reckon it's part because of the new rule changes. The new rule changes is basically to speed up the game, which it is. It's a fast-paced game. It's probably the fastest it's ever been. And if you had that younger squad like the Penrith Panthers, which are mostly young guys that can keep up with that pace, do you reckon that's one of the reasons why we're seeing these high scores and these big margins?
Yeah, I think so. The new rules, because the league has become a game of momentum. So if you kick the ball dead, then the opposition gets a 7 tackle set, and they're marching upfield, and then you're on defense, and you almost don't get the ball back for 5-6 minutes, and that's what's happening. And then just the fatigue sets in late. So the new rules and the speed of the game means that the team that has the momentum, they can just dominate for long periods, and then they can blow the scores out. So the new rules, I'm with you, they've contributed, but in the speed of the game means that if the team who doesn't have the ball and does a lot of defense normally runs out of puff and they get blown away quite sort of in that second half, So I'm not sure if it's a better competition because one thing I've always loved about the NRL has always been the closeness of the games, and with these blowouts, it's sort of that closeness where anyone can beat anyone isn't really happening anymore. So yeah, I think that the new rules have taken away a little bit of that excitement. You're not getting those edge of your seat finishes like you would normally get in a lot of the games.
Or even expose some of the teams that are slow. It's interesting to see the change in the game, and it'll be interesting to see what happens at the business end of the season when we get to the last few games and then the playoffs. Which
Yeah,
team is gonna handle it at the end, right at the end?
yeah. I feel for like Penrith because they're undefeated. What, they've won 7 in a row, and they won 17 in a row last year. So they've won 25 of their last 26 games. The game they lost was the one that mattered, which was the grand final. But I feel like they almost have to win it now. They're right up there, and they seem to be the team to beat again. So now if they don't win it, it seems like a wasted season almost for them. They're a gun team, those Panthers. So that's the team that I'm really looking at.
Coming back to the Melbourne Storm. Now the Melbourne Storm, this is a team that I really fucking hated for the longest time. That was my worst team in the NRL.
Yeah,
But knowing that all those Queensland guys are gone, and there's a few New South Wales guys in there, some stars, got Peppenhausen's in there, Edokar's there.
mm. Yeah.
They don't seem too bad now. I kind of like this team now.
Yeah, it's taken a while for me too to warm up to the Storm. They've changed their style, so they used to be like hardcore with Cameron Smith, their hardcore wrestling and all that sort of stuff, and they would just grind out a boring wins, sort of like 14-12, those types of wins. But with Cameron Munster there, Pappenhausen, who you talked about, Adokar.
Oh, Karen Master, he can't even kick. He can't kick, bro.
Yeah, nah, he can't. But he's exciting to watch. So I think that sort of helped to make the Melbourne Storm a bit more of a flashy team, a bit more exciting. So yeah, I'm with you. I've traditionally hated the Storm, but I don't mind them so much now. And mate, some of those boys will be in New South Wales for sure. Peppenhausen's got to be fit in there somewhere, and Adokar's always in there. So yeah, no, Storm, they're moving up. Then probably they were my worst team. Now they're about to be second worst or third worst. So I still don't. Not a fan of what they do.
The other thing that took my notice about the Melbourne Storm with that game against the Warriors was their half, Jerome Hughes. Now he's in he's in line for the Kiwis, and that brings me to my question to you, Stace. Like, who do you think will make the Kiwis halves?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I know the Warriors they've basically tried to sell the farm to get Hughes, and they offered him millions of dollars to sign for the Warriors. And he basically said, nah, I would rather stay with Melbourne than come to a Gaia team like yours. So, no, it seems to be paying off quite well. But, the Kiwis, they haven't normally had so much depth in the halves now. But, yeah, Hughes was outstanding. He basically killed the Warriors. And I talked about how there's sort of a divide in the competition, so it's good to see someone like Hughes who's playing for a gun team like Melbourne. They've got Dylan Brown who's playing for another gun team in the Eels, and Benji who's winding back the clock playing for another gun team with the Rabbitohs there. So a couple of guys, and then when you think about Sean Johnson, Cody Nikorima's there. So yeah, there's some real depth there. I'm with you on Hughes. I think he's been outstanding. He's a premiership winning halfback now with the Storm. So I'd be picking him probably at halfback. And who I'd get to partner him, I think you need a bit of a balance. So, I'd let Hughes do the organisation. He's still a young guy, so I wouldn't mind getting an experienced six. So I've gone. I think maybe Sean Johnson would be the guy I'd go for. He needs a bit of time to get over his injuries, but he can be a bit flighty at NRL level, but for the Kiwis, he's normally been quite good. So he needs a bit more time to get over his injuries. But if I'm looking forward towards the World Cup at the end of the year, mate, that's who I'd be going for. Hughes and Sean Johnson would be my pick.
I think being in that the Melbourne Storm system,
Yeah.
it's like being in the Crusader system.
Oh man, see that's another reason I hated the Storm as well. They remind me of the Crusaders. But you're right, you're right. And you think Hughes, he came through the grades. He played fullback.
Hmm.
So this last season was his first full season playing halfback, and now he's one of the better halfbacks going around. So mate, credit to the Storm system and his hard work. But yeah, another reason why I hate them because the Warriors that never happens to the Warriors where they just find a never-ending stream of good players. So bit of jealousy from my part, I think, probably.
The other good Storm player that stood out was up there, the guy on the other wing, Remus Smith. He
Oh
scored a couple
yeah,
of tries, I think. Man, he was the man. Like he's a
yeah,
tall guy, and like man, he's just strong. Like man, he had some he had some good finishes that game. I don't
yeah.
know I don't know where he's aligned to. Is he aligned with one of the Stair Origin teams or?
Well, I know he's Tyron Smith's son, and Tyron
Oh,
Smith he played for the Kiwis in the '90s, so I'm thinking he's a New Zealander, Remus Smith. But yeah, he never almost never got the call up. He's another guy. So he was with the Bulldogs for a couple of seasons, maybe 3 seasons, when they were pretty kaya. And that's what the Storm do. They take these average Joes and they make this guy, Remus Smith. He'll probably get in the Kiwis at the end of the year if he stays healthy as well. So, yeah, that's the Storm system for you. I mean, if you had any young people coming through and you think, shucks, well, should I send you your young kids or nephews or whatever? Mate, I'll be sending them to the Storm stuff, the Warriors. Nah.
that's our truth.
Yeah.
Um, so the New Zealand Warriors this weekend they have North Queensland
Yep.
Cowboys. So there'll be a good game for them. The Cowboys have 3 wins in a row leading up to this
Yeah.
game. Before that, they've lost all their games, but they've won 3 in a row. It'll be a good match for the Warriors. It kind of reminds me of the match they had against the Dragons, which was a good game for them.
Yeah.
And I noticed that they put Reece Walsh in the halves, and just like you said, Tuivasa-Sheck is back on the at fullback, which is probably not a bad decision because he showed some flashes. I'm talking about Reece Walsh. He'd setting up 2 tries. I think he had a kick that led to a try, and a pass to Ken Mamaru, which got those last 2 tries. So just a little bit of brilliance there by the
Yeah.
youngster.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good move. I think, Nathan Brown's just trying to find his best 17 and try and find positions for them all. But I like Roger at fullback. He normally runs for 200 odd meters a game, and he's organising the defence just with his experience. So I think Walsh will get his turn, but he's still a little bit young. He provides a bit on attack, and I watched his YouTube highlights and all the rest of it. So he can do those things. He's got the speed and the footwork and the ball skills, but the big test for him will be, defence in that front line there. So if he can get on top of that, because he looks like an 18-year-old, which he is. He's still got a teenager's body, playing against grown men. So I know he copped a smashing from someone in the Storm, just gave him a good shot, and it's one thing he's going to have to adapt to, just the week in, week out grind. But the signs look good, eh? So as a Warriors fan, he's not, you're always trying to find something to hang your head on for some hope, and I think this kid, he could be something, eh? So I'm glad they got him over early, and Roger, he's such a selfless guy. He's been trying to teach him the ropes, so I think, he could be a future, he could be something good for the Warriors. But that's going to be a good game, as you mentioned. So they got the Cowboys, and they're coached by Todd Payton, who was the Warriors coach last year. And they start off a bit rough, and then he's trying to get his ways. Now they've got 3 wins in a row. So yeah, it'll be a good game. So looking forward to. I think the Warriors should win it though. Put it on the line there. The Warriors are going to take that one out.
Okay, just your 2, your 6 and 7 for the Kiwis. Your prediction.
Yeah, so I went for Jerome Hughes at 7. So he's the current, premiership winning halfback, and he should get the first nod at 7. And I've gone for Sean Johnson. I'm also looking forward towards the end of the World Cup, and that's who my World Cup team would be, providing everyone stays healthy. But there's some depth there, like I mentioned. Dylan Brown at the Eels is if he carries on, he could sneak in, and Benji Marshall winding back the clock. I think Cody Nikodima with the Warriors, they're not going that good, and his form hasn't been good, so he's probably slipped down the ranks, even though he's with the Kiwis last year. But yeah, Hughes and Sean Johnson would be my two at this point.
Okay. And your prediction for the score? Warriors against Cowboys?
Oh, mate, we're going to give them a good old-fashioned touch-up. I know that Todd Payton connection sort of gives us a bit of extra spice to that challenge, so I think that we'll give them a good 14-point hiding.
Nice.
Yeah, we ended that Dragons run, and I think we can end the Cowboys run and start moving up the table.
Sweet. Well, the Manly Seagulls will see you up on top of the table.
Yeah,
Because we ain't losing any more games. We ain't losing any more games.
I know they got the Warriors coming up again in 2 or 3 weeks. I'll be sending a message, just take out Tom Trebojevic once he's out there. Whole game plan's out the window.